Welcome back to Chillin' in the Foyer, everyone. This is our final episode of our part series about the Word of Wisdom and diving deeper. I will say that this one is a little bit different because we're going to talk about physical health as far as exercise goes, and that is not outlined in the Word of Wisdom. However, there are many talks that have been given that connect the two, and obviously taking care of your body, a part of that is exercise as well. So we are going to include that. So as I said, the Word of Wisdom is often discussed in terms of what we eat or avoid, but it's about more than substances. It is about stewardship, how we treat and care for the physical bodies God has given us. The Apostle Paul taught in 1 Corinthians 6:19-20, "Know ye not that your body is a temple of the Holy Ghost? Therefore glorify God in your body." Modern prophets have emphasized that spiritual and physical strength are deeply connected. President Russell M. Nelson, a former heart surgeon, once said, "Good physical health aids our ability to serve others and the Lord," which makes sense, right? One of the things for me, I remember it was about a year and a half ago, I had a back injury and I wasn't able to really serve others in the way I wanted. I could barely serve myself and oftentimes couldn't. And so that's where we can see it, that if we aren't taking care of ourselves physically, it does limit our ability to serve others. It doesn't completely remove that ability, but it can limit it. So taking care of our body can help us stay strong and energized. There are studies that show that as we exercise, we have more energy throughout the day. We can feel the spirit more clearly because we've also been taught that our spirit and our physical are one. They feed off of each other. We can fulfill our callings and responsibilities in life more effectively, and we can serve our families and communities with more purpose when we have those abilities. So exercise, though not explicitly mentioned in Doctrine and Covenants 89, is about principles of health and discipline, and that can extend to how we move our own bodies. Modern prophets and health professionals alike encourage regular activity, 150 minutes of activity per week, walking, stretching, cardio, strength training, but also balanced and in moderation. Do not overtrain, but also not neglecting, and we'll get into more of that in just a second as well. There are also mental and emotional benefits. Exercise improves mood, reduces stress, and sharpens the mind. Once again, there are studies that show that. So we're not just keeping commandments, we're living aligned with divine wisdom. Physical health will equal spiritual readiness. When we care for our physical well-being, we're more able to receive revelation, we avoid addictions and energy crashes, we're better prepared to endure trials, serve others, and fulfill missions. We gain strength to run and not be weary, walk and not faint, as Doctrine and Covenants 89:20 said. And remember, this is about progress, not perfection. We're invited to grow in discipline, not to meet a cultural fitness standard. So that's where the obsession part comes into it. This is about stewardship. The Word of Wisdom protects us from neglecting our health, but also obsessing, right? We talk about moderation in all things because you can go to either extreme. You can do nothing and just sit on the couch all day and almost never move and, barely walk, and that's like all you get. Or you can go to the gym and just go crazy. But you have to remember that the Word of Wisdom is not about being ripped and jacked. It's not about being able to run all these marathons, and it's also not about living in guilt over our weight. It's about respecting the body that God gave us, using it well, and seeking balance, gratitude, and strength. So the Word of Wisdom began with a revelation in 1833, one that foresaw dangers in tobacco, alcohol, and poor diet long before science caught up. But it ends with a promise in Doctrine and Covenants 89:20, as we just read, "Those who keep these sayings shall run and not be weary, and shall walk and not faint." This is not just a metaphor. It is a gift. So let us honor the Lord, not just with what we avoid, but how we move, rest, nourish, and respect our bodies every day. I appreciate you taking the time to watch these videos, whether you've watched one or all 8, and invite you to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this content for more. And as always, love God and love others.